Hello and welcome back to Spekd, and it's time for another first impression review. We have Warhammer Conquest issue number 70, and I am losing all of my words. So $7.99 the issue, and we are just going to get a few paints in this one. But let's open it up and see what lore we've got in here, because it's White Scar time. Alright, paints we have is a White Scar and the Cadian Flesh Tone. There's dates on there. Again, I don't know if they're the best before dates for tastiness or maximum painting or pasting. I don't know. But, you know, you guys are sure to tell me. You know, they look like you can put them on cakes. All right, look. So the cover. This is actually a really good cover. It's been a long time since Conquest has had like a really strong cover. And this has got brilliant contrast, detailing. And even though we're not getting a model in there, look how much that breaks the fourth wall, but yet still keeps everything in alignment. Focus points there to our boy in the middle. Obviously some kind of Khan there. I really like that. I really like that. They've even dropped back the kind of main characters of the Conquest here. You know, the Death Guard and the Ultramarines into the back just by changing up the saturation there, making them just darkened out. It's really good. Good work, guys. Nice bit of graphic design there. Nice composition. Okay, so we know that there have been rumors, or maybe currently as this video comes out, that there is actually going to be Primaris bikers. And that is something I've definitely been waiting for a hell of a long time. Also, a Primaris Tech Marine, okay? I was expecting that, and we haven't had it yet. So Games Workshop fixed that. Otherwise, my Sons of the Phoenix are just going to be rocking around in broken vehicles. Okay, so let's have a look, see what we've got. So we've got our paint tool, we've got a hierarchy of the Imperium, and using battle-forged armies. Ooh. Contents. So we've got our issue there. Holy Terror, Hierarchy of the Imperium, Assault Squads, Centurion Assault Squads, and Annals of the Space Wolves. So we're getting a bit more there. That's interesting. Where's all the White Scar information? Maybe they're going to talk about these from the perspective of White Scars. I hope. Otherwise, that's a wasted cover. White Scar colouring for the paint. Flesh tone paint. So we just got paint guide mini there. And we've got, looks like, additional rules there. Yeah, okay, Battle Forge bonuses. And an actual battle there, as we always have, apart from that one time. Yes, Hachette, are you ever going to give us that mission back? Because I feel like you cost us a mission there, which we should have had. I think you should make it up by giving our brethren in the States copies of Conquest issue number 1 for free. That's what I think you should do. All right, okay. So Terra, Earth. Things have changed. It is set in the future, long after the wars. And when I talk about wars, I'm not just talking about nuclear wars or the Men of Iron wars and the reclamation of the warlords and all sorts of business. The whole planet is just pretty much covered in city, concrete, plascrete, whatever you want to call it. There's not much there. It is just, this is just pretty much the Emperor's throne room. That's what that's about. Get used to it. Okay, we've got some info there on the way that the place is set up with the custodies on the walls. I love custodies, man. Those guys are just awesome, and I'm glad to see them in the 40k universe. For a long time, they were like the mythical characters which everyone spoke about and you never got to see as models. And then we got them. They're brilliant on the battlefield. Although, versus Shock Assault, they don't come off all too well. Making that comparison, that transition in comparison to Space Marines now. So that's something to think about. We have there the Imperium continued, and this was our hierarchy section. No, the page has come out. The hierarchy section's continued. And we have the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, all the kind of telepaths and all the scientists sitting there on the planet. Obviously sacrificing all their energy to ensure that the God Emperor is safe on the throne. And also to act as a beacon to the warp, so people can find a way through the warp when they're space traveling. The Nobelites, people that like to do the politics and the what have yous, and the Astronomicon. This it is what it is. That's the Emperor just sitting there letting off his holy light to guide people home. Rogue traders, planetary governors, Adeptus Abartes, or Abartes, whatever. These guys are like the police force. They recently came out with something in Necromunda, which have these guys in, and they look like RoboCop. The Officio Assassinorum, so the assassins. There was a game that came out where it was like you had the 4 assassins versus like the ship, almost like Space Hulk style, that had a card-based intelligence, and they're just fighting against cultists and the escalation event. Yeah, these little missions. You could have picked them all up for about £100 in the box set. And it just wasn't worth it at the time. The characters themselves are interesting to add for a bit of variety, but they're not a necessity. They're nice to see on the table, fun for 1 or 2 hits, and then go about the business. Kind of like some of the Tyranids currently. I'll speak about that another time. Okay, assault squads. Now, I do like assault marines. The jetpacks, the fast movements, and that's how I tend to play mine. Get them into where they need to. Give them specialist weapons, especially with Blood Angels. Like veterans with jump packs. You are absolutely laughing. In and out, these guys do the damage and move. Give them a power fist, give them a crack grenade, send them on their way. It's on the board when it comes to play. It puts a lot of people off because they're not too certain where you're going to be coming from, the angles you might take. So it can cause them to deploy themselves very thin on the battlefront, or kind of cluster up all in one place, which can make it easier for your strikes. Yeah, so we're having a look here. Yeah, Blood Angels are the most famous of these guys. There's no 2 ways about it. That's an interesting picture of an assault marine. Looks like he's got an eviscerator. Bigger version of a chainsaw, 2-handed version, yeah. So, assault marines, oh look. Now there was a recent build by What the 40k where he took a standard Space Marine Centurion and he modified it to fit a Primaris Space Marine, and it looks so... oh, gotta wait for that to go. And it looks so good. I knew that he took it off of Reddit or something like that from an online source, but he actually cut it up and went through with it, and it was well worth it. Thoroughly enjoyed that. You should check it out. Centurions. I think these are one of the first models that I saw on a White Dwarf magazine. Just before my little one was born, I needed something to read, and I walked into shop, and on the shelf was Warhammer models. And I thought, you know, like the magazine, the White Dwarf, and it was actually one which was out of date by a couple of years, and I didn't know because I just needed something to read, and it caught my eye. I had a look at it, and I saw these Centurions, the siege breakers, the assault ones, and the the devastating ones. Absolutely amazing. But now with the new kind of bolter updates, I say it's new, it's old now, with their bolters that they have in there, as you can see, focus, there we go, Timmy, right there, they get so many shots, it is unreal, especially when you give them the heavy bolters. They do some serious work. Okay, Space Wolves continue their lore and history, more sagas and more information, and you will find that in their actual codex. So that's pretty cool. Now we'll continue with our painting and getting back to our Apothecary. So this was about issue, what, 35, 36, maybe 34, along those lines, early 30s. And it's good to see that they've gone all the way back just to highlight the model. And it makes a world of difference. Just that little bit. It's not much, but it does kick it into different gear. And look, there's my Rick Poxwalker. So, yeah, just go back, have fun with that. And I've always said to you, I'll say it again, always go back and just touch up your model. To see additional detail, like you gain another skill that you never knew you had, or you learn a technique that you hadn't practiced before and you had a little bit of time to practice, and it builds your confidence. Just go back, Don't think it has to be painted perfect the first time you do this. You can always go back, and I'm pleased to see that this whole painting guide pretty much tells you to do that. I mean, look, bringing out little details there on the horns there, really nice. Cadian flesh tone there coming in, so we're highlighting that flesh tone. Now, if you use a combination of washes and the same color, it would have had the same effect. but that would give it its extra pop and detail, especially for some faces, not all faces, obviously. So that's really good to see. Well done. Yeah, see this here? These little wall marks, I can't remember what they call them, they're kind of like studs. And they get them for like every 50 years and 100 years and every 200 years of combat. If you use a wash, if you want to make them look irritated, if you use like a violet wash, it makes it look irritated. And I learned that from Adam Fox, actually. He does like really good work for the heads there. Really good. Now, I am lazy. I will build the model and then paint the head afterwards, so then you don't have to paint all the back. But technically, if you want to practice extra details and fine details, what you can do is just paint this head on the sprue and then add it to the model afterwards. So then you actually take time to paint the details on the back, and you can practice fine painting on the back of the heads anyway, because no one will ever see that. Just double check it with a bit of either super glue or blue tack, because you can take it out. Super glue, you can pop the heads back out. Blue tack, you take it out, but it might get caught up and kind of put the model off of its spaces where it's meant to sit. Let's continue. So here we're talking about battle forged armies, and it's good to see like an improvement in the rules. I feel like we've been playing baby mode for quite a while now, and that's no offense to anyone that's playing a Conquest, because when you learn that rule and you play it a few times, you practice it, it becomes engaged and ingrained, and you really appreciate it. And they haven't fluctuated the rules very much or added anything additional. But with the Battleforge rules, it's talking about building your army so you have command points and also benefits. It also talks about the restrictions you'll then have if you work in this way. And this is one of the key rules and things that I see people get wrong when they're building their army, because they don't tend to optimize like their detachments. If you optimize your detachments, you tend to get larger amounts of command points, and things tend to be a lot better. So it's well worth having a look at that. And one of the things that I didn't learn for a long time that I kept on getting wrong was the items in red here when building your detachments, the way that you build it, you have different benefits, are mandatory. So you have to have at least one of these guys and at least one troop. And these ones are optional because they're in grey. So if you remember that, that will help you to build your army as you need. Okay. Right, so the battle is continuing. Things aren't looking good, but it looks like we're getting to beachfront here. That's pretty cool. And we're getting to army rosters. So we're speaking before about the points total and building your army by points. This is a really quick way of getting to play. And Conquest is about just getting into play, making it fast rather than counting out the points. You could use a thing called Battle Scribe that counts out the points for you. But I like to sit there with pen and paper and whittle out what I need and what I don't need. And in some cases, I have spent maybe about, an hour per 1,000 points. Just trying to wrangle in those last few points, because I hate having, like when you're playing like a 1,500 point game, having a few points short, you feel like you're really cheating yourself. And the smaller the point amount, the more so that it actually is, because that's 1 or 2 extra troops in the case of some armies. So the Death Guard roster there, so we can now see what they've got. They've got Blight Hauler, Bloat Drone, and Rhino. So they've got 3 vehicles there. You got the Redemptor there, so they only got 1 vehicle there. They're gonna have to fix that up. Okay, mission. Okay, so we've got a mission here. So, okay, you use the pre-printed sheets. You got your command points which are on the sheets. Death Guard starts over here. Deployment zone 1, 2, and the Space Marine has to make their way through. If they end up here, that's 1 point. If they end the game here, it's 2 points. I think it's for unit. Yeah, for each unit, and then it's 1 point for the Death Guard models, army, for each Space Marine unit that they destroy. That makes a lot of sense. So that's fun. This is like taking possession. That's always good. I mean, my favourite version of this is where you have 3 tokens, 1 each in both command zones, and 1 in the centre. And you score a point at the end of each turn. You score your point at the end of each turn for each one you possess. So it's not that one is more than the other, it's just that they're all the same. to force the other person forward rather than making castles, you could make it that the one in your zone is, or the opponent's zone is worth 3 points, the middle is 2, and your one back at home is 1. And that could work really well as well. Now, in Chapter Approved, they do have a lot of missions. In the rule books, they do have a lot of missions, but at this point, you don't really need the rule book. It's just a courtesy if you do get it at this point. But there's so many missions in White Dwarf and Chapter Approved, you might as well play those. You could even go online and watch a couple of YouTube videos to get how they use their points. As long as you've got the cards and the open war cards, do all of that anyway. Right, let's continue on. So there's no model to review today, but we are getting to look at our next model here, which is the crane, and that is a beautiful item. I think I'm going to have to see if I can get 2, because I can really see that being on like an industrial setting, and I will use that for my Gene Stealer cult. And then we have Chaos Spawn. So it's not often you see these guys on the table. They're mainly objective holders, how I tend to see people play them. They're not very well protected, but if you chuck them up against a unit of guard or, you know, Gene Stealer cult or termagants, you know, you'll chew through them. So that's pretty cool to see. It's a nice little variation. Okay, we didn't get many models these in this last 4, but it is what it is. What can I say? Overall, I like this magazine, even from the design point of view. I know we only got paints, but there's a lot of history and a lot of lore in here that, again, I want to take my time to enjoy. You know, this is one of those things where when you're kind of exhausted of painting, because sometimes you can be exhausted and you've had enough of building for a minute, and you just want to put something on in the background, or, you know, you're done hearing too many battle reports and you just need something to just glance your eyes over. This is probably the issue for that, and it's really handy to have something like this nearby, you know. So it's appreciated. I call this a catch-up issue where you can catch up painting and building, and you know, that's what it is. But please tell me what you think. You know, tell me if it was any good for you. I enjoyed it, as I said, and I'll catch up with you guys again soon. I've enjoyed my time. I hope you've enjoyed yours, and that's on for me to do a showcasing video for an army. Catch you again soon. PC out.